Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting. Today is Monday, April 9. If you are watching live on Monday, April 9, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions. Our call-in number is 769-1677. As always, you can watch us live on the web at pctv76.org. You can watch us on Verizon or Optimum Cable TV, and you can go back to pctv76.org within a few days and pick up on-demand webcasts of this meeting as well as past meetings. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 16. We have a work session that day for department fiscal year 2019 budget reviews, and our next regular meeting is Monday, April 23rd at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. Sorry to start a little bit late, but we're in budget season and spent the previous hour working with Jeff Econom and the team from our finance department looking at the DPW budget. And as you will see shortly, we have tonight the public hearing on our tentative budget. Is there any comment from the public somebody wanted to bring up before we get started in the rest of our complicated long meeting?
It's about the budget?
Okay. Oh, it's about the budget?
Well, it's about something in the budget.
Well, if you would like to talk now and be spared the rest of our meeting, you're welcome.
Or you
If
can
it's-
see the budget presentation and then,
All right, come on up. Here's your moment.
Here's my moment. So this is different for me.
wait, say
Okay.
your name, you remember?
I know, I remember how to do this. I'm Bill Stoller. I'm on Maple Hill Road, and this is a little bit different. Usually I come up here for something else, but something else is not on the agenda anymore at the moment. I'm actually up here because Patty Dwyer told me to do this. She said, I had a question for her toward the end of her tenure, and she said, you know, there's going to be a budget meeting. Why don't you tell them then? I said, oh, okay. So here I am. A very quick preface. I used to have a plaza lot parking permit, so I could park anytime I wanted. I used to go to the city for my clients 4 or 5 days a week. It made sense. Last couple of years, not so much. I'm going in a couple times a month. Maybe my average is 2. So I gave up the permit last year, and I tried having my wife drop me off and pick me up. That always didn't work. I tried the taxi service, which was okay, picking me up at my house and dropping me off. But trying to get back at night from the train station was a problem because I understand they're supposed to have 2 cars meeting every train, and they don't. And if you try to call them, the dispatcher says, we don't take those kind of calls. We don't make reservations for the train station. So I did discuss it with them, with somebody, one of the executives there, and he promised me I could call. And I said, you know, this isn't worth it. So I decided to go to the 12-hour meters. And I discovered the joys of the 12-hour meters, which sometimes work and sometimes don't.
You mean the devices are broken?
I mean that sometimes the card cannot be
Oh,
read.
I see, the card reader.
The
Yeah.
card reader, sometimes it can't be read. I had
Yep.
a couple of those a couple times. And the meters themselves, I guess this is an LCD. Are they from what, 1980 something? I mean, I don't know.
All right, you're
They're-
wounding us here.
I'm sorry. They're old. Those are pretty old meters.
Well, actually, they're not that old.
They're not that old, but they
the
look-
innards have been replaced, whatever, keep going.
They look pretty
Yes,
old.
yeah,
That's-
yeah.
And it's hard to see that.
They're
it's
not
hard to
new,
see-
that's
it's
very
hard
true.
to
Washed out,
see
the
the
displays are washed out.
Yes, I agree.
the displays are impossible to see,
Yes.
especially in bad weather, and they fill with moisture. And I understand. So I asked for a copy of looked at a copy of the budget, and I spoke to Eric earlier this afternoon, and he tells me that there's 2 things in the budget under parking. This is page 12 under metered parking. There's 2 items here, and they have to do with putting little heaters
Right.
in the meters to keep the moisture out.
Yeah,
and the
except those are
cold.
not the meter
It's not the
heads for
meters
the
you're
12-hour
talking about.
meters. Those are the pay and display gizmos.
The
Those are
machines.
pay and display. So
Yes.
this is not for the 12-hour meter.
No.
Those are not the
Okay,
droids you're
so
looking for.
you haven't solved the problem of the 12-hour
We have
meters
not,
at
no.
all. So my question is, instead of throwing money at these heaters things, I know it's expensive to have the pay station kind of parking like we have behind Dunkin' Donuts and you have over here by the church.
Yeah, those are where the
Why-
heaters are going,
Right.
those kinds of things.
When is that going to be happening? Because it's not in this budget.
You mean to put a device like
To
that?
put pay stations for the 12-hour meters, and that's part
Right.
one. Because I understand it's an expensive thing. I don't know if you buy them or you lease them or you buy them with a service contract or
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
do.
It's all of the above.
It's all of the above, right, okay. So these 12-hour meters don't work so well. the cards don't always work, you have to go up to the finance
Right.
office to buy a card with cash
Yes,
or a check.
no, I
Yeah,
agree.
we're aware, yeah.
It's
So
right.
there's no doubt that the current pay card meters, which are, I want to say, 15 years old-ish, and
older.
it's a chip card. Well, no, it's one of the problems is at a meter where it's infrequently used, the reader gizmo gets
Right.
debris on it and it doesn't read as well. We have looked a couple of times at the cost impact of going to meters that would allow, individual meters that would allow you to pay with a credit card. That's obviously a great convenience, and it also means you can buy into the extend your time with an app
Right.
options. Even the salesman himself said that you're going to end up paying people to park at your meters unless you're willing to charge at least $1 an hour. The problem being every one of those meters is
We're
a
paying
little.
75 an hour now. It's not that big a,
Yeah.
Joe?
No. So except at the moment, the meter doesn't cost us a whole lot to sit there. Each one of the meters is a little cellular uplink. That's an annual cost. There's a service charge. I mean, as you may notice, the pay and display stations, you can't pay with a credit card for less than $1, because if you do so, the transaction fee consumes more than the cost of the parking. So if there's no question that at some point we need to move to a more modern, high-tech solution. It's a few $100,000 to do it.
So that's to do the individual
To
meters
do,
take a card?
or anything, really. I mean,
Or
just,
the-
we
even the
just,
even the pay stations that much?
well, what did the pay stations cost us? Like 15,000 apiece, something like?
15, I think?
Yeah.
Get 20 once we were done with the electrical.
Right.
The cellular
hookups.
stuff, right,
The
Verizon.
foundation, the little house for it. And you bring up a sore point, because we've just gone through the budget, the 3 different lines where you get charged a maintenance fee, you get charged a service charge for
Right.
the credit cards, and then you get charged a service charge for the uplink and the data management. So,
And the heaters that should have been in there in the first place.
so
But to Bill's point, though, I mean, even if we can't go to that solution, it seems like we should get functional 12-hour meters.
Can I ask a question though? Is your problem that you're getting tickets or that you're unable to park? Or
No, I
meters don't
haven't.
Just
first of
hard
all,
to
I
give us
don't-
money.
I don't park that much. I mean, I've only used them, like I said, a couple of days, a few days a month.
yeah,
yeah,
So I've always found a spot somewhere, either
right.
up on Memorial or down Wheeler or around by the Shell station. I've always found a spot somewhere.
yes.
But there have been a few times where I've stuck my card in, a card I know is good, and it
It
says
won't work.
nothing.
No
Doesn't
doubt, and
work.
we have that
So-
Doesn't
problem.
register
But
it.
is it-
And
is
I
it-
didn't, and one time I tried 2 different meters on Wheeler. I ran out of time because the train was gonna be in 5 minutes. I jotted down the meter number. I went down to get the train and I called Judy. And I said, that's the meter I parked at. And she goes, well, I'll tell them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you get a ticket, just bring it to me. But that doesn't seem to be a very good solution.
Yeah, and she's retired
And
now,
it's
so
just
that's,
Retired, I can't call her.
There's no
You can't call her at home.
you're out of luck.
Do they
There's
notify
no
us
way
when
to
they know
actually
a
not
meter's
give
not
people
working?
tickets
Because the
on
PEOs,
non-functional
Well, his point
the
is he-
contacts have to be cleaned or something
No,
like
what I'm
that.
saying
There's
is, like,
moisture in them.
We don't give tickets on meters that have
Do
failed.
the train.
This meter that he's talking about situation, the meter hasn't failed. It would accept money if you put in a quarter, but it's not reading his card.
Read
That's
the
the
card, and no, I'm not carrying around a roll of quarters, and we'll skip that joke.
Right,
Yeah.
but
Okay? So,
So the,
is there any, so I'm saying like all of these solutions are expensive solutions. Is there a simpler solution where somebody could call into the village and say, I parked at this meter, my credit card don't work, we send somebody down to verify that and then don't give them a ticket or just.
but it seems to me that we
automatically
should make the meter work.
Well,
mean,
no,
that-
I agree with you, but I'm
Right.
just saying like if there,
Well,
if that's a
can I get to-
$100,000 solution.
No, it's
then
not
this
gonna be
is a-
$100,000 to get a new meter.
there's a part 2, there's a
Okay,
part 2
sorry.
that I was gonna say about parking.
okay,
And this is also courtesy of Patty, which is that if you observe the village, the lots, the village lots, where you use the tags.
Yes.
The Memorial lot, the other lots.
yes,
Even though I believe the tags are slightly oversold for the
Yes.
number of spaces, slightly,
yes.
the lots are almost never completely full.
That is true, and that's on our radar screen as a question.
Right, so And I don't know how it is in the other lots. I can only speak of the Plaza lot. It's the only place I ever parked.
Yeah.
But I don't know how empty the other lots are. But I usually go in later. I usually take a 9:30 or 10 o'clock train. And there might be 10, 15, even 20 spaces depending on the day of the week, what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. And these are wasted spaces until 3 o'clock when people can park. And miraculously, somehow, at 2:55, all the spaces are taken. Because
That
the
is also
people-
true, yes.
Because the people who've been feeding the meters around the village, who are working here, they all move their cars into the free space for the next few hours.
Yes.
And you're not making a dime on it. So, I was thinking about White Plains. I don't think too much about White Plains, but this is what I think about White Plains. There have been times when I've had to go into White Plains in the morning for some kind of business, and then take a train to Manhattan. And I've done that by going to the White Plains train station rather than driving all the way back here. And in their parking garage, they have spaces that are reserved for people with tags. I think last time I did this was a few years ago. I think everything but the last floor or two is tags only. But starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, tags or the
right.
spaces are numbered and you
Yep.
pay at the pay station. And it seems to me that you could take advantage of the fact that not all the spaces in the tag lots are always taken, number them, put in a pay station, and
capture that revenue.
capture that money back instead of waiting till 3 o'clock and it's a free-for-all. You could charge for parking until, well, 6 o'clock or whatever reasonable time there was. I hesitate to suggest charging on the weekends. I'm sure the Burns and the merchants would go nuts on that kind of suggestion, but at least have someone pay for those spaces that are lying fallow between 9 and 3, get someone to pay $1 an hour or whatever it is, and help offset your cost for these pay stations that would also pay for the 12-hour meters and blah, blah, et
Right.
cetera, et
So
cetera.
I think that's a good idea to explore. Two things are issues that have come up in the past, and the dynamics of it keep changing. One of them is, I agree with you, and we have all noticed that perhaps we can oversell more than we do because of the number of people who are not using their permit every day. There are also some business folks who are in and out during the day. So at White Plains train station, for example, it's virtually all people who took the train to the city.
Yes.
And so if they're not there by 10 o'clock, they're likely not coming. We do have some in and out folks who have permits and they may be there at 9 o'clock and gone at 11 and back at 1 and gone at 3 and back at
You're
3:30.
presuming now that
Right.
all the spaces that are available at, say, 10 when you open it up to metered parking will stay available all through the day, and when the person comes back with their tag, they won't find a space.
It's a potential issue. So, I mean, it's
It's-
totally worth working on. The hit on it and the struggle we have is the cost of implementing
Absolutely.
even one pay and display gizmo, and in a perfect world, you'd want one at either end, so you don't have to walk all the way the wrong way. You know,
One in the middle.
yeah, so one in the middle. Even so, is it, by the time you get the utilities there, it's probably in the $20,000 range. So, even at $1 an hour, which is more than we charge for parking anywhere, we're 20 some odd thousand hours of parking in before we break even. So it might be that it's sort of a Pyrrhic victory, but by the same token, it might also be a means of increasing availability of parking instead of, as you rightly point out, having perfectly good spaces lie fallow, so part of the day. So
Yep.
all good thoughts.
Because the pay station would work not only for the spaces that become available in the lot,
Yeah,
but they also would work for the 12-hour meters there.
right.
And the other 12-hour meters, well, you'd need other stations, obviously. It may not be economically feasible to put another
Yeah.
pay station
Yeah.
by Wheeler, another pay station
Right.
by the Shell
I
station.
mean, in New York City, they have all these smaller units and they have them in every block, but they're charging $3 an hour for the most
Right.
part, or more for on-street parking, so.
Right.
All right.
There's got to be a way to work it out.
There's got to be a way. And there's no doubt that the existing cards that we sell here are an awkward system that time has passed by. It's just an expensive venture to switch over to something else,
And to have to buy the car with cash or a
yeah,
check.
no,
There's
I know,
credit card.
it's a big, it's a.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
I
that's
carry
the thing
two
we should
cards in
look at.
case one doesn't work or I
Right.
miscalculated how much I
Yeah,
have
and
left.
honestly, I don't, we have a certain number of people who are in your circumstance who are diehard users. I think the average person doesn't even know they can get such a card.
I did
I didn't
not know until I needed to know.
Painfully,
I
if
spent
more
23
people
years
knew, we'd
here
get more
without knowing
people.
they existed.
Right.
Yeah. Well, all right, I thank you for all of that.
All right?
It's on the
And
radar
hopefully
screen.
something positive will happen in the next 5 years about this.
I hope we can do better than that.
I hope so too.
I don't know about the next
Is
year,
it
but
possible for us to do an inventory of those meters and see which ones are working, which ones aren't?
Well, but they go on and off. I mean, because I know your guys clean them. If they report it broken, they take them and they clean the contacts for the cards, right? Isn't that how it works, Chip?
Yeah, what happens is the PEOs will let us know what meters are out. We will go out and
Yeah.
inspect them.
I'll just repeat that for Jeff Econom, our superintendent of public works, is here. He said the parking enforcement officers let DPW know what meters are out, and our team goes back and cleans them and gets them back in working order.
How do they know what meters are out?
Right, well, the problem you have is that it's a hidden problem. The meter itself is working fine, it will accept quarters, but when you put in the pay card, it doesn't want to register that, so.
And somebody doesn't have the time to call Judy and
Yeah.
say, hey, this didn't work, gets a ticket,
I mean,
grumbles, comes
God
in.
knows,
you know.
parking shouldn't be that hard, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Right, it's-
Hard for all of us, so.
And I know we're making a lot of changes, but I was trying to come up with something that covered both ends of the problem.
Yeah.
In other words, the meters and the empty spaces, and some way to make all that work. I leave it to your,
All right, I thank
Thanks.
you. That
Appreciate
is
it.
useful
Okay.
Thank you.
input. Thank you, Bill. All right, I had a number of announcements. Oh, welcome, another speaker. Enter and sign in, please.
Juliette Seslin, 23 Grove Street. We recently received through the village the traffic studies
Yes.
for the master plan
Yes.
Manville corridor.
Yes?
There's a lot of information on that particular study. Who can we direct questions to, number one? And number two, will there be more discussion on that particular study going forward so residents can understand what that's all about and the implications thereof?
So here's my report on that. First off, you can direct questions on that to any of us or to Eric. He may be the ideal person. We've had a couple of pieces of correspondence I was going to report. We received a letter yesterday from Bernie Gordon, who had gone through the materials and sent us a letter with a number of specific questions. We also received a detailed email from Patrick O'Mara, who lives up on Maple Hill and is, I believe, himself a professional in this realm. He asked a number of questions. Both of those sets of questions we've handed back to our consulting engineers and to the folks at Hudson Valley Engineering who did the review and the study, and asked them to comment on all of those questions to give us back their view of it. To see whether they have an answer that satisfies the question and lays it to rest, or whether some of these points that have been raised suggest further inquiry. One piece of further inquiry that we've already committed to and is getting underway now is to examine the Grant Street situation from Sawmill Parkway up to Manville and the queuing and the stacking that happens there at rush hours.
Right.
Bernie's letter pointed out, for example, were the hours sufficient during the study? Should it have gone later in the morning, and should it have gone later in the afternoon? A bunch of those kinds of questions. So we also have, and it's a massive set of information, the information that was gathered some years back as part of the RBA study, which is an interesting comparison point of about 10 years ago that also studies all of that in extended detail. Obviously, that data needs to be compared to the current data, but it's just an interesting piece of stuff. So at any rate, long story short, if you have specific questions, why don't you get them to Eric or to me or to any of us? We'll make sure they get A, added to the permanent record, and B, added to the list of questions we have. We have a conference call tomorrow with our consulting engineers to go over the questions that have been asked so far. So just saying, if you happen to have questions on your mind now, shoot them my way or Eric's way soon, because tomorrow at 10, he and I have a conference call with those folks. Not that that's the last conversation we'll have, but we can add that to the stack.
So are any of these questions going to be discussed in a public forum so that everybody can hear the answers?
Well,
Because
sure.
in-
Happy to do that, but
Yeah.
certainly we'll respond to the people that ask the questions
Right.
to make sure that we have answered the question satisfactorily.
Okay. Yeah, because I just don't want to repeat the same questions
Okay.
if other people have
Right.
asked.
Yeah.
Right.
And my other question is, I know the village isn't responsible for 117, Route 117.
Right, it's a state road.
Who do we complain to? The state about the potholes on
Yeah.
117 that go through the village up to Pace? Is
So-
that the state?
It's the state.
Okay, it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's the Department of Transportation Region 8.
Okay.
They're based up in Poughkeepsie. I'm sure they have a complaint line probably on their website.
It's probably busy.
Completely agree with
This
you.
time of year.
And we can prod them too. What's your take on that, Jeff?
Yeah, go to the microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because it is, like,
It's really
it
bad.
abuts the village, and so I'm just wondering if we have any power at all to lodge a real formal complaint.
We're feeling a little powerless in
Yeah.
comparison to the state right now, but
No, the office actually for the work in this area is out of Katona.
so I've given you false
Region up
data.
there,
Oh.
yeah.
Katona is closer, that's good.
Katona, that's where that office work would come from, Region 8.
Do they report to Region 8? Is that
Yes,
the?
they
Yeah.
do. This is-
I wasn't completely off, I just.
No, you
remembered,
weren't.
yeah.
It's a
I'm
sub-region.
just defending myself,
But unfortunately, they don't give out emails, they don't give out any really information.
which is what you would do if you're in a situation where you would get a lot of them. You
Is there any
wouldn't let
way for
anyone
us
know
to
what they
know-
are.
Number after,
Yeah.
when I come up and give you a
Do
number.
they ever give us a heads up on when they're gonna be around?
No.
No. So there's no way for us to kind of handicap when that might be on their schedule.
No, I mean, the county is responsive, the state is difficult.
Right.
I sort of sometimes will call and put them on notice.
Right. I mean, because there's a couple spots like that, right? On the way to Chappaqua, and Washington is really bad.
All the state roads are a
All the
disaster.
state, they're in terrible shape. Maybe we
Sawmill's
should call
got some pretty
Senator
bad
Murphy.
stuff going on too.
You know, I mean, maybe we can
Yeah.
put a word in at other levels and say, look,
I mean, not that I'm at all inclined to defend these folks, but it has been a tough winter, and
yeah, but,
it is.
Tough and could be tough tomorrow too.
yeah, and we're not entirely done yet, but thank you for bringing that up, because it's
All right.
definitely a thing.
All right. Any further comment on any subject before we move on? Okay, had a number of announcements to make. The first was, as I think many people are aware, we received communication from the folks at Sunrise Assisted Living that they have decided not to pursue an assisted living or memory care facility on the Methodist Church site on Bedford Road and Maple Hill. That's been the subject of discussion with them for the last little more than 2 years, both with Sunrise and the folks that control the property, Bedford Road Partners LLC. So the report came to us in the form of an email from Jerry Liang of Sunrise that based on their current assessment of the situation, they are not going to pursue that project. So we sent that out on a village email as well, which is another opportunity to remind folks that who are interested in getting timely information from the village about general email subjects or about emergency conditions, or interested in getting agendas for any specific boards. If you go to pleasantville-ny.gov and click on subscribe to news, you can sign yourself up and put yourself in a position to receive timely information, which I think would be a lot of help for everybody. So I encourage you to do that, pleasantville-ny.gov. Bunch of things to report that are coming up soon. I mentioned at a previous meeting and remind folks again that the Pace University students are running, as they do every year, the Relay for Life to raise money for the American Cancer Society. That is going to be taking place this weekend. It's a little different than what they have done in the past, which is taking place in the gym this year. Weather permitting, they're planning to do this starting out on their baseball field. It starts on Saturday, April 14 at 2 p.m. It runs to 2 a.m. Folks are not anticipating that everybody would stay the entire time, but anybody who's interested in seeing what goes on at Pace, who would be interested in supporting this activity, the students at Pace who organize it would very much like to see more community involvement. So if you Google Pace University Relay for Life, you'll get lots of information, and if you're interested in supporting them even without going you can do so there. I mentioned previously and mention again that on Sunday, April 22nd, Will Promisel, who is an Eagle Scout candidate for Pleasantville's Troop 12, is raising money for a project to put defibrillators at the village fields. It's a great project, and Will is running a fundraiser pasta dinner that is on Sunday, April 22nd at the Presbyterian Church. I think it starts at 6 o'clock, so it would be great to see a big turnout from the community. Not only a fun night, but a great means of helping Will achieve this goal that he has chosen for his Eagle Scout project. Music Festival is rocking and rolling. Later this month, they'll be announcing the lineup. It is on Saturday, July 14. Go to pleasantvillemusicfestival.com. Take a look at all that's going on there. Sign up for emails. Buy your tickets now. Farm Market moved outside this weekend. First farm market outside took place this past weekend, and so it'll be outside of Memorial Plaza the rest of the way through the fall. Thanks again to the Pleasantville School District for making the middle school cafeteria available for the winter months to provide an indoor market and make this a 12-month activity. Farm market back outside, its usual hours, 8:30 to 1. It will be operating every weekend, but the kids programs and music get ramped up after New Year's. Recycling committee and the folks involved there are going to be collecting sports equipment as they have annually and then give it away for free on Pleasantville Day. So the plan is to pick up people drop stuff off in the Henkel's lot on Saturday, May 12 from 9 to 3. So you can mark that on your calendars. I'll remind folks again. All kinds of sporting equipment that's been piling up in your garage or on your porch, you can donate to the recycling committee. They bring it all back to Pleasantville Day, and folks who can use it take it home. So it's a great way to get rid of stuff you don't need and a great way to repurpose stuff to folks that can use it. Pretty much any kind of sports equipment is accepted except no skis, snowboards, or helmets. They can't accept those 3 items. So if you have questions, you can you direct them to info@pleasantvillerecycles.org. The pool, Pleasantville Pool online registration begins on Monday, April 16. Happy to report, I was up there this morning. We are completing another round of improvements at the snack bar area. I have taken down the fence between the snack bar and the pool. It's being replaced with a zigzag countertop, sort of a dining bar, so that you'll be able to sit in the eating area and look out at the pool, getting rid of that sort of feeling of being inside a fenced-in area. We've extended the fence and the pavement a bit to create a bigger dining area, extended the pavement a little further over by where the ping pong tables have been to create some more room, and we are close, I think, to sealing the deal on an operator for the concession. The folks at Good to Go that ran it this year are not in a position to run it again based on staffing, and I think we're very close to an arrangement with a new vendor, which we'll announce soon. But I've looked at a prototype menu, and it looks like it'll be a really nice time. So I encourage folks to sign up. Online registration begins April 16. Eric, can you report on this Con Ed gas main project, or Jeff can,
Yeah.
so people can plan ahead?
Sure. So Jeff could probably speak in more detail if I missed something, but Con Ed is planning to do a gas main replacement project on Marble Avenue. It was running from the Sawmill entrance to
Pine Street.
and then from Hobby through
Hobby.
the intersection and then wrapping up around Key Food.
Right.
It's going to be a 6-day-week project. They're going to try to wrap it up within 3 months so we can get the work on Marble Avenue. We're planning to repave the entire stretch of Marble Avenue this summer, late summer, early fall, but we're confident that we can still get this done this year, even with the gas main replacement.
And that repaving of Marble is with assistance from the county and
Senator Murphy. Yep.
As well. So will that repaving go all the way to the corner at Bedford? The Marble Avenue repaving?
The Marble Avenue paving was actually a grant obtained from Senator Murphy, and the project will run from the intersection of Bedford Road and Marble all the way through. We were able to obtain monies to go all the way to the Thornwood Diner, which is Commerce Street.
Uh-huh.
So that road will be milled and paved,
Great.
that entire section.
And so the work Con Ed does that goes essentially from Jean-Jacques down to Key Food will be a patch and pave project that Con Ed will do to restore whatever they damage?
I've actually, in the permit there's 2 permits that are going to be there. A village permit, and I've requested under my permit that the road be milled and paved curb to curb. But I was trumped this year because it is a county road. When they did the project here on Bedford Road, and they only made them do half the road.
Right.
Ultimately, it comes to the county. If they will back me, we can get curb to curb restoration.
All right, well,
Good.
I know you have our back on that, and I appreciate it. So, all right, so obviously, good news to have that done. Bad news that it will create some traffic tie-ups, but they've committed to maintaining 2 lanes during the rush hour. So, few other things to report in a long list here. The Pleasantville Volunteer Ambulance Corps and the High School Echo Service Club have joined up, as they have in the past, for a blood drive at Pleasantville High School. That's a Monday, April 23rd. And if you're interested in participating in that, a community blood drive on Monday, April 23rd, it's between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And people are asked to sign up online. You can, or by calling, you can call 1-800-688, questions regarding eligibility, 800-688-0900. To schedule an appointment to donate, 800-933-2566. But you can also go to the New York Blood Center website, newyorkbloodcenter.org, and you can reach into the information there as well. And then only 2 more, and I'll stop talking. This coming Friday, April 13, the New York State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, in association with the City of White Plains and the Westchester County Department of Public Safety, has arranged a community gun buyback. The goal of this is to get guns that folks don't want to have, or are looking to get rid of in a safe way. You can go to this event Friday, April 13, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. It's at Mount Hope Zion Church, 65 Lake Street in White Plains. And you can also get this information on the New York State Attorney General website by Googling it. They will pay $25 for non-working and antique firearms. They will pay $75 for rifles and shotguns, $100 for handguns, $150 for assault weapons. Payment will be made by debit card at the site. So it is a great means of getting rid of a firearm that you no longer have use for. And it's an amnesty program. No questions are asked for folks dropping off a gun. So anybody who might be in that circumstance, that's Friday, April 13 from 9 to 1. And if you're interested in further details, go to the website of the New York State Attorney General. Then the last thing I had on my list, folks have been asking about the fact that the new New York State budget incorporated a schematic plan for folks to potentially be able to contribute to some sort of a not-for-profit entity, and that not-for-profit contribution would be an offset against your property taxes. This as a means of trying to overcome the impact for folks on the cap that was instituted by the federal government end of last year on deductibility of state and local taxes. All of us in Pleasantville and all of us in pretty much every community in New York State have been pressing for more information on how this would work and what kind of logistics are required to make it happen. It would require, it appears, the creation of some new entities to accept this. It would require a whole lot of rejiggering of the way tax bills and receipts are handled. All of it seems really quite unclear at the moment, but we are asking the questions as everybody else is, and we'll let you know if we have any further information, but certainly for the moment, at the moment, the system is not up and running here or anywhere that we're aware of. Anything to add to that?
Other states are looking at that too, right? California, New Jersey, Connecticut.
There remains some question about whether the IRS would accept this or not. Evidently, there are some similar kinds of programs in operation, as you mentioned, in other states. Stay tuned on all of that. All right. Anybody else have anything to report?
No, sir.
All right. Back to our regular agenda. First thing on our agenda is the public hearing on our proposed budget for fiscal year 2019 that begins on June 1, 2019. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have unanimity. Welcome Eric Morrissey, our administrator, to walk us through a description of the budget. If you can hit that, just that left, the far left switch, that helps.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we're going to start off with the, well, first I should say this is a very familiar PowerPoint presentation. I did not reinvent the wheel. This was taken directly from Patty. I got all copyrights on this. So this first slide shows our fiscal cycle. As a village in New York State, we run from June 1st to May 31st. Right now, we are having our public hearing, which has to be done by April 15th, final budget adoption by May 1st, and then we go ahead and collect taxes on June 1st. This slide, and forgive me for the small print, this is taken from OpenGov, but this slide shows basically the village's financial structure. The village's entire appropriations are broken down into 4 distinct funds. The general fund being by far the largest. That's where we recognize and realize expenses having to do with the majority of our employees, benefits, operations, maintenance are all captured in the general fund. The next largest is the water fund at about $4.1 million. That's all the expenses having to do with delivering potable water to village residents and in some cases beyond village residents. The refuse fund at $1.1 million is associated costs with sanitation recycling services in the village. And then finally, our debt service fund at $2.1 million is really a pass-through fund for the 3 others. As the general fund, refuse fund, and water fund pay off debt services, they transfer funds into the debt service and then essentially pay the bills. So we're going to first concentrate tonight on the general fund budget at $16.4 million. As I stated, it's by far our largest fund. The way that it generates revenue is mainly through the tax levy, $10.9 million. That represents about 68% of the general fund's revenue. This year we are proposing to allocate about $350,000 from the unassigned fund balance, and other sources of revenue, operating revenue, sales, mortgage tax revenue represent about $5.1 million. The assessed valuation for this year rose about $2.4 million to $117 million. That allowed us to have a growth factor in the tax cap of 1%, which I'll explain later. So all in, this year's budget proposes to raise the tax rate by about 1.15%, or exactly 1.15%, to a tax rate of about $93.12. As I stated a couple weeks ago, that represents to the average homeowner about $11.41 increase on their village taxes per month, or $137 annually, to put it in different detail. In terms of the projected fund balance, the fund balance is basically the savings account for the general fund. That's where we place operating surpluses. And this year, at the start of the new fiscal year on June 1st, we're projecting a fund balance in the general fund of about $3.9 million. That represents 24% of the general fund expenditures, which is a healthy fund balance to have. As I went into detail a couple weeks ago, the board appropriated over $500,000 this current fiscal year on a variety of capital expenses, which was a smart move given the healthy fund balance. So instead of going out and borrowing, we paid in cash. So we're left with 3.9 at the beginning of the fiscal year. That's not to say that we don't have a lot of projects that we can are shovel ready, but it's a good place to be right now. So, tax cap compliance. Many people may hear this term. Basically, what the tax cap does is restricts our ability to increase taxes on property owners to 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. Inflation rates have risen over the past year, so this is the first time in a long time we have a 2%, a true 2% tax cap. As I stated, because of the assessed value has risen, we have a growth rate factor of another 1%. So to be clear, this tentative budget is currently tax cap compliant. So we're going to go through the structure of the general fund. It's a very large fund. We've broken it down into different segments. So we're going to start off with government support. At $1.7 million, this realizes the cost of the mayor and the board, justice court, the administration, which is Noreen and myself, finance department, retained services, village attorney, engineering consultants, the like, IT services, operation and maintenance on Village Hall, our general liability insurance, small claims and tax certs, and our contingency line, which is where we put money to cover any budget overrides or expenses that we didn't budget for throughout the year that pop up for various reasons. This is a breakdown of the general government support. Missing here, for whatever reason, OpenGov does not like the central technology line and refuses to incorporate itself here. So it's randomly in a different pie chart, which we spent too much time trying to get, so we apologize. But as you can see, it's pretty evenly spread out. Of note, unallocated insurance represents our general liability. Their projections don't align with our fiscal year, so we have to project that cost, and that's where we put the funding. So
When does that come back in?
when
do
do
we
we get?
usually get that? Like
June. Yeah, right after we
Yeah.
start the new year.
So we've submitted our information for the new year. We incorporated more details on Panther Club and some of the other items.
Okay, good.
All right, the significant portion of our general fund goes to public safety at $3.9 million for the upcoming fiscal year. That captures expenses with our building department, also known as building code enforcement, our entire police department, as well as crossing guards and parking enforcement expenses. And here is a breakdown. The appropriations here have risen about 6%. A large portion of that is due to contractual pay raises for the police department. Police admin is broken down basically into the chief and 2 lieutenants in a part-time clerical position. The police uniform division is 16 patrol officers. Police detective division is 2 officers. Our police juvenile division is 1 youth officer. And as I said, safety inspection represents the expense for the building department. Next section is public works. Well done, Patty, on that. On those. That captures the administration, road maintenance, snow removal, maintenance of street traffic lights, our metered parking, which we've gone into great detail tonight on, and the general building and grounds operation and maintenance across the village. So here's our breakdown. Most lines, as you've seen over the work session, minimal increases over last year. Street admin incorporates the superintendent and a office assistant position. Street maintenance captures 9 total full-time positions. Central garage, 2 full-time. Metered parking, as we discussed, went up about 10% $10,000 because of new warranty and the Little Buddy heaters that we need to make them operational during cold weather months. And as Jeff went into detail before, our street lighting program went up a bit as we finish off our LED replacements, and we will be realizing some savings there in the years to come. I should also mention that we did move one full-time position over to parks from street maintenance as well. Right, the next segment is outreach services. This is basically our senior services, captures the administration for that segment, outreach support, transportation, Clinton Street activities, and the senior nutrition program. The total appropriations for the upcoming fiscal year is about $512,000. They are up about $24,000 over last year because we were budgeting a part-time position. And this is the breakdown. Joni will be in next week on Monday, the director, and she can speak to in more detail what she intends to do with that part-time position. Next section is recreation and library, another large part of the general fund budget at just over $3 million. That captures our recreation administration and parks department, the pool, youth programs including Panther Club, adult programs and special events like Pleasantville Music Festival, and the village's share of the Mount Pleasant Library expenses. And here's the breakdown. Recreation admin captures 3 full-time employees and 10% of 2 others who spend most of their time doing Panther Club. Parks admin is 4 full-time staff members, and they're responsible for the maintenance and enhancement of village parks throughout the village. This line went up a bit because we did transfer that employee from street maintenance. As you can see, the library expense is really the bear here. We are projecting a 2% increase. Their budget runs on a calendar year, so we end up estimating from January through May. The Lake Street facility, we're adding about $26,000 to for O&M, for operation and maintenance. We're increasing the repair line for the pool about $12,000 to deal with issues as they're projected to come up. And Panther Club expenditures are projected to increase by $255,000 this year, and that's mainly due to our ability to more accurately budget and allocate expenses to the program. So that has, it has actually 80% of 2 full-time employees. We allocate the 20%, the remainder of the 20% to rec admin, but 80% of salaries and benefits of 2 full-time employees. 26 part-time employees within Panther Club, credit card fees, which the village covers, as well as custodial fees, software expenses, and then general programmatic costs. We've gotten the workers' comp expense for that program. It's about $4,400, and we're still waiting on the general liability estimate for the program. Next segment is community services. So this is the expenses related to our approval boards, planning commission, zoning board, architectural review board, the downtown enhancement programs, business support, beautification, our farmers market, PCTV, some work to the sanitary and storm sewers, as well as our street trees. And projected total appropriation for the upcoming fiscal year is $389,000. And this is where our central technology likes to locate itself. But of note, shade trees went up about $30,000. We have a new tree contract that increased fees, and we're just more accurately budgeting for those expenses that have gone over in years past. We're also going up about $8,000 in sanitary sewers to fund some repairs to the sewer system. All right. Employee benefits, a huge cost driver in our general fund budget. This is where we realize pension contributions, Social Security, Medicare. workers' comp insurance, unemployment insurance, and the big one, health insurance. For the upcoming fiscal year, total appropriations are projected to be $4.2 million. And as you can see, healthcare benefits make up the vast majority of this segment. Health insurance costs to the village are projected to go up about 7% over last fiscal year. Our retirement contribution to the police and general employment fund is about $1.1 million. You know, what's frustrating is that these are expenses that we really can't control. With the Tier 6 is the new tier for general employees. I can testify that, you know, I will be contributing over the course of my career. So as more Tier 6 employees enter the workforce and more Tier 1, I'll respectfully say, retire from life, you know, potentially there will be, you know, some relief there. And that's very, very much dictated by the market conditions as well. But, you know, this is a huge, healthcare is a huge cost driver here. And it's not our, you know, it's an issue that we're all facing across New York State. Local governments are facing this. So debt payments and transfer outs for the general fund. This covers principal and interest payments on our bonds and notes from the general fund, projected to be just above $931,000 for the upcoming fiscal year. That represents about 6% of our general fund expenses. So in terms of debt service for the general fund, that's a prudent debt level to have. And as I stated a couple weeks ago, we are going to be retiring a significant amount of debt within the next few years, but you know, we also have a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done around this village. So, and on that topic, capital planning, infrastructure, and equipment. In years past, the village typically allocates around $200,000 to road resurfacing, repaving, and sidewalks. This would have to be a general fund balance appropriation if this board wants to move forward. That is keeping with past practices, and that's a decision that doesn't need to be made, you know, before the adoption of the budget, but something we're keeping an eye on. The good news is that we were just notified tonight that Senator Murphy has secured an additional $137,000 for road repaving, so that gives us some leeway. We can still allocate this from the general fund and do more work. We can allocate it into a capital fund for out years, but that is good news. We have also secured through Senator Murphy $185,000 to pave the entirety of Marble Avenue, which is very much needed. And we'll move forward with that probably later this summer into early fall. And we've got a variety of significant out-year projects that we're keeping an eye on, considering and budgeting for. That includes any improvements to Manville Road and the plaza, the pool, which needs a tremendous amount of capital work and enhancements. There are a variety of DPW pieces of equipment that Jeff is going to need to replace in out years that we're keeping an eye on, and a new DPW garage. So although we are sitting on a healthy fund balance and retiring a significant amount of debt, these are very significant projects that we need to budget accordingly for. So we discussed and had an overview of the general fund expenditures. Here's a little bit about the general fund revenue, how it actually collects money. As I said, property taxes makes up about 68% of the revenues in the general fund. Pass-through taxes are the sales tax, mortgage tax, operating revenues from recreation programs, parking meters, and the like. State and federal aid, which has essentially remained flat over close to a decade, and the allocation of fund surplus. And this slide represents those revenues. The tax segment is a bit misleading. It also shows mortgage and sales tax in there, but again, the tax levy is about $10.9 million. Fee for services, that just broken down. Let's find that. so I don't miss the. Okay. Fee for services are revenues from Pleasantville Music Festival, parking permits and meters, and summer camp revenue. And then the miscellaneous portion are revenues from Panther Club and the pool. All right, now we're moving away from the general fund to the refuse fund, which, as I stated, captures all of our expenses for residential sanitation services. We have about 2,400 collection units. That 0.5 is how we account for multifamily houses, residential houses. That number has increased by 33.5 units over last year. And we're collecting household trash, recyclables, bulk items, brush and yard waste. And the proposed budget for this upcoming year is just over $1.1 million. We are proposing to raise the rate for single-family units by about $6 to $460.80. The projected fund balance at the start of the fiscal year is projected to be $242,000. That is down from $299,000 last year due to the fact that the board allocated fund balance here for a DPW front-end loader and to construct a much-needed storage facility at the DPW headquarters. So again, instead of going out and borrowing for those costs, they paid in cash. Now we're moving on to the water fund. Again, all the expenses associated with delivering water to village residents and some outside the village bounds. So this captures filtered drinking water expenses, the distribution system operation and maintenance on that, the filtration plant. We own about 30% of the Millwood treatment plant, and the water system debt payments on that. Proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year is just about $4.2 million. And the projected fund balance for this fund at the start of the new year is going to be about $231,000. That's down from about $960,000 at the start of last fiscal year, mainly due to the large water main project that we're undertaking this year that Jeff designed and saved us a lot of money on. But again, it's paying cash instead of going out and borrowing on that. The water rates for this upcoming fiscal year are proposed to remain the same. Here's a breakdown of what we charge our residents and non-residents. We have a portion of the population that lives outside the village bounds that are water customers, and they are districted in the town of Mount Pleasant. We also have some residents outside the village bounds that are not within district and get charged the highest rate. The bulk rate is basically the rate that Pace University pays. And again, we are not proposing to increase water rates. And then finally, local economic outlook. Property values continue to go up, but tax tertiaries are a frustrating reality for local governments. Our pension and health care obligations continue to go up. Healthcare at about anywhere from 6 to 8% a year historically. We're maintaining our strong fiscal policies and capital planning initiatives. Our two collective bargaining agreements are actually expiring in 2019. So we'll be commencing negotiations probably around the holidays or just after the holidays. So that's our CSEA and police contracts. And we are still moving forward with green initiatives and sustainability. I know this is a huge priority for the board. We are moving forward with becoming a climate smart initiative and moving forward with a variety of recycling initiatives as well. So we'll be proceeding with that over the next fiscal year as well. So that will do it.
Thank you, Eric. Thorough job. And I think, as you very clearly pointed out, amid the many challenges that all of us confront in managing life in these environs, the village is in a very stable position. And we are obviously in a circumstance where, as Eric also pointed out, a lot of what drives our increases, especially the increases that are in the 6, 7, 8% realm, are outside of our control, particularly healthcare. So I know the school district confronts precisely the same problem. So the reality of the 2% tax cap, which was instituted by New York State some years back, has in fact not really been 2% for most of us until this year. As Eric also pointed out, it's 2% of the rate of inflation. The reality we all confront is that the noose gets tighter every year because for school districts and governments, personnel costs are by far the biggest piece of the money we spend, and the typical collective bargaining agreements, not only in Westchester but around New York State, have trended to be above 2%, 2, 2.5%, sometimes a little less than 2 for a given year. Those kinds of numbers have been driven in part and supported by the State Public Employees Relations Board, which is a board that is sort of an arbitrator of last resort, but has played a significant role in sort of setting the standards. So the bottom line there is, as you see, when we have a net increase of proposed taxes at 1.15%, that's obviously happy news, very modest increase, and that reflects a whole bunch of things, including some trimming and cutting to try to find room in the budget to accommodate the increases we can't control, like health insurance as a prime example. But it also reflects the fact that we've seen some growth in the tax base. And so when you see projects like, for example, the Toll Brothers project that is now well along on Washington Avenue, and the new buildings that you see in the downtown of Washington Avenue, those are all new tax ratables that will help spread the tax responsibility across more payers. So all of these factors are in play all at once, but I think we're certainly in a happy circumstance, certainly a circumstance that gives us a little bit of an opportunity, as you've heard in recent months, to talk about some of the things we've wanted to do for a long time, and now, both because of our current financial circumstance and because of grants we've gotten from various sources, we're in a position to be thinking about things like the Manville Road Street improvements, the Memorial Plaza changes, and new civic space that we've talked about. Parking is obviously a prominent concern, and we're in various discussions about ways in which we might both recover spaces lost potentially by a new civic space in Memorial Plaza, but also increase the availability of parking either on a 24/7 basis or potentially an interleaved use with parking that might be dedicated to some specific use during the day but be available in evenings and weekends. So great news going on in our community as far as restaurants are concerned, as we have seen lately. I can report that I came down to my day job office on Wheeler Avenue last night, a Sunday night at 8 p.m., and Wheeler Avenue was completely packed at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. So that is obviously a sign of real vibrance in that realm, and so that's very good news. It obviously puts pressure on a whole bunch of aspects of village government, including obviously the availability of parking, but lots of great stuff going on in the village of Pleasantville, lots of great stuff in the pipeline. So I think the reality here is, as Eric alluded to, when we look at the capital costs, we could spend $10 million tomorrow. We're not in a position to do that. That means the discussions we have with the department heads and the discussions we have about general civic improvements are things that are based on a multi-year plan, all kinds of ways in which we could spend money, and it doesn't take much to have a $500,000 swing in the budget in any given year, depending on what happens with snow, what happens with water main breaks, what happens with the kinds of infrastructure risks we all confront. So good news, but you, I think, have heard that we continue to have a government that is proceeding, I think, responsibly and cautiously, but taking advantage of some of the opportunities that we have. So I think all the work that's been done by you guys, I thank you, Mary Schwartz, our treasurer, Robin Rizzo, our new deputy treasurer, Noreen Regan, who knows the budget inside out from her life as deputy treasurer, now assisting Eric, and Eric having picked up the mantle of responsibility from the departing Patty. Really, really appreciate the good work you guys have done. So, are there any comments from the public, both in the room or if someone wishes to call in at 769-1677? Any questions at all on the tentative budget?
Is this
Yeah, come on. Microphone.
Eric, is this available for the public?
Yes, we will make it available.
It'll be
Great,
posted on the website tomorrow.
perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, as Eric indicated up front, the budget you heard about tonight and the one that we're going through on a line-by-line basis in several work sessions is the tentative budget, the draft that's been put together by the department heads and the administration. We're going through that and tinkering here and there so that the budget we actually vote on before the end of April may be in modest ways different from what you see. I highly doubt that there's any major substantive change likely. But now's the time, if anybody has any opinion about how we do things, how we collect money, how we spend it, how we earn it, now's the time to discuss it, because our tentative goal is to be able to vote on a final budget at our meeting on Monday, April 23, 2 weeks from today. In the hypothetical that we end up struggling further, we may end up scheduling another meeting later in April, but need to adopt the budget before May 1. So there you have it. Unless there's any further comment or question on the subject of budget,
I have a quick question.
go for it.
Okay, so Eric, just really quickly on the water fund balance. So we drew that down pretty hard for the water main project. It's about 5% now. The fund balance in the water fund. Do we anticipate that going back up? Is there a level? I mean, most of the time we look at a 25% fund balance as healthy. Is there a plan or a feeling like we're going to push the fund balance back up in the water fund now that we're drawing it down?
Not at that high.
Yeah,
Does it need to be higher? I guess is the better question. Is it an unhealthy fund balance now?
Well, I mean, Mary's probably best to answer that.
I think the dynamics are different for
That's
for
what I
a
thought, right?
fee-for-service
I wanted to
budget.
clarify
Yeah, I mean,
because
that-
if you looked at your presentation, it's a dramatic drop below
That's a
what our
high-
other fund balances
That's a
typically carry.
high fund balance to carry in the water fund, certainly.
All right, so we're not in any red zone there, right? Okay. And then just roughly again, because I think it's helpful for the context of your presentation, roughly what are we going to roll off in debt service in the next couple of years? We've mentioned it a lot. I know the numbers are out there. We have them, but I think it'd be helpful to clarify
I
it.
think it was about $500,000 in the next 2 years alone.
Right.
Water fund significant reduction.
Yeah.
And then there's another
And then
whole
more,
tranche
more moving
in
forward.
like
but
3 or 4 years, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So what Steve is alluding to is the fact that our debt service expense, which is just shy of $1 million in the current draft budget, is likely to drop absent new bonding.
Right.
Without question, we will need to do some new bonding. It's a never-ending process to maintain the water system, the sewer system. As Eric mentioned, we've been pretty aggressively trying to move to an environment where we fund capital expenses through cash instead of bonding for things that are more modest expenses like trucks, but by the same token, things like sanitation trucks are $200,000 or something like that a pop. Further, we have a whole bunch of demands for capital expenditures that are, some of them are simply going to be required in order to keep the place running, and some of them are going to be discretionary, either because we don't have to do them right now even though we have to, or in the case of streetscape improvements and the like, things that we can elect to do or not. So comment on all of that is welcome. Eric mentioned that we confront some challenges at the pool, and the key part of that is that the pool filtration system, the means by which water is collected in the scuppers at the side and then recirculated, requires a pretty heavy-duty investment and a rebuild, and probably a new liner to boot. Could easily end up costing more than $1 million, at the completion of which the pool will look no different. It won't be any better from the standpoint of the experience somebody has as a customer. So those are challenges we have to confront to figure out what to do about that. But as I mentioned at the outset, we've made some really nice improvements, not only to the pool house a couple of years ago, but to the concession and dining area last year, and now new improvements this year. And I very, very much encourage folks that are potentially interested in joining the Pleasantville Pool to sign on up. It will help a lot to see community support for the pool. So, further comments, questions? All right, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I so motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. With that, unless there is further comment from the public on any subject, any questions, comments, we'll go to the resolutions. Steve,
All right.
65.
Resolved that the following budget amendments are hereby approved as listed below. Budget transfers from the general fund, taking $1,073 from contingent account to taxes on village property account. From the refuse fund, $3,625 from a contingent account to refuse part-time. We're appropriating fund balance in the general fund in the amount of $19,233 from administration sick bonus to payroll expenses due to retirement, $16,200 from administration vacation buyback to payroll expenses due to retirement, and $8,350 from DPW administration vacation buyout, payroll expenses due to retirement. We're appropriating water fund balance. Funny, I just asked about that, right?
Right.
$9,620 from water administration sick bonus to payroll expenses due to retirement, and $11,475 from water administration vacation buyout to payroll expenses due to retirement. We're also appropriating refuse fund balance, $3,195, refuse administration sick bonus, also payroll expenses due to retirement, and then $3,500 refuse administration vacation buyout to payroll expenses due to retirement. And we're increasing revenue and expense in the general fund, $19,955 from the revenue account Panther Club to the expenditure account Panther Club outside service.
Is there a second?
I second.
Comments or questions on the budget amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. David, 66.
So I don't have anything underneath the approval of pre-check register.
I can just read it if you want, if it's easier.
Resolved that the pre-check register dated April 9th, 2018, covering check numbers 89132 to 89319 is hereby approved as listed below. General fund, $189,172.82. Water fund, $9,808.07. Special purpose fund, $100. Capital fund, $63.24. Refuse fund, $7,209.07. Trust fund, $6,521.58. Total of $212,874.78.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the check register?
It's a good month.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 67.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts a donation in the amount of $1,000 from Peter Camilli and Sons toward the Patty Dwyer Tree Fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm very happy I get to read that one.
It's a great one.
It's a good one.
I just want to shout out to Peter Camilli and Sons for this
Yeah.
very, very generous contribution. For those who may be interested, the Beautification Committee has been working on a plan to plant a copper beech tree in Memorial Plaza adjacent to the train tracks, kind of roughly in the middle of the green space between the parking lot and the train tracks. Copper beeches is a tree of particular that Patty's particularly fond of, and we are well along in raising money for it. Anybody who would like to make a contribution to it, we would be more than happy to receive it. Motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion accepted. 68.
Acceptance of letter of resignation from Recreation Assistant Olivia Osrock. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts a resignation letter of Olivia Osrock, Recreation Assistant, job code 0269-2, effective March 29th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Always sorry to see anybody leave, but we
Yep.
wish her well in her next endeavors. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 69.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees, based upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Recreation, hereby authorizes a temporary change in rate of pay hour, I guess we should.
Oh,
Rate of-
sorry.
Rate of pay per hour.
Rate of pay per hour for Diana O'Halloran, job title Recreation Assistant, job title code 0269-2, from $20 per hour to $25 per hour, effective April 9th, 2018 through June 30th, 2018. Effective July 1st, 2018, the rate of pay will revert back to $20 per hour.
Is there a second?
Second.
This reflects increased responsibilities for a specific period of time.
Right?
Correct, because we had that other resignation.
we had another resignation, and we're asking Diana to fill in. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 70, David.
Authorization to institute parking regulations for the farmer's market. Motion made by trustee and duly seconded by trustee that the following resolution is put forth for adoption. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby reserves the use of 7 on-street metered parking spaces on the east side of Memorial Plaza and all parking spaces within the Memorial Plaza parking lot north of the gazebo on both sides for farmers market activities. Parking restrictions will be instituted in said spaces on each Saturday from April 7th, 2018 through December 1st, 2018 between the hours of 5 a.m. and 3 p.m. And further resolved that the Chief of Police is hereby authorized to post no parking signs and tow any vehicle that violates these temporary parking regulations. This already started, I guess.
We had the first bar market on
Yeah.
Saturday. Is there a
Yeah.
second?
Second.
Any comments or
This
discussion?
is the same we do every year.
Same as
Yeah.
it's been every year. Yeah.
Okay.
All,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I just was
Yeah.
going to say yes.
Yeah, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Number 71,
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from the Pleasantville Day Committee to close Memorial Plaza for the Pleasantville Day celebrations on Saturday, May 19th, 2018, from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And further resolved that the Board of Trustees authorizes the police chief to post no parking signs on Saturday, May 19th, 2018, and to tow all vehicles in violation of this temporary parking restriction.
is there a second?
I second.
I realize in my long list of announcements, I failed to announce this one, Pleasantville Day, Saturday, May 19. There are 3 reasons you might get towed in the coming several
Right.
months, and one of them is the farm market, one of them is Pleasantville Day, and one of them is the fire department parade, so. All in favor?
Before you, just very important that people realize if your car's there overnight and one of these events is happening the next day, it's going to get towed.
And we really do not want
We
that to happen.
don't want that to happen. We will put signs up. We try to do everything we can to tell people that this is going to happen. But every year we have people come and say, "I had no idea that this was going to happen." So please, understand that this is going to happen and don't get your car towed.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. 72.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village treasurer to close the following capital account and transfer any available fund balances as follows. Should I read the account?
You don't have to read the
Okay,
detail, but
okay.
the key point is the balance that we're attending
20
to.
cents.
20 cents.
We count every penny.
I was just going to say, if anybody doesn't think we
Well,
are
that
on
was
top
really
of
nice
things here, our finance department, to the penny.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, you sure it's not 22 cents?
No, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's sure it's 20 cents.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. I'll throw in a
Well,
couple
that's
extra.
for Jeff's front end loader, so he came in under expectation.
Under,
I think that's
under
fantastic.
budget.
That's right, 20 cents.
You left money on the table. Number 73, Steve.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems, or MS4, annual report for the reporting period ending March 9th, 2018, as prepared by the Superintendent of Public Works, and public access to the report is available on the village website. Is it? Will it be?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's there.
it's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody
Is
has
there
to
a
sign.
second?
I second.
So this is the required report that all municipalities have to put together, indicating the status of their storm sewer system and infiltration and all of the above. Thank you, Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. We're going to pull Resolution 74, which was the trustee liaison assignments. We're missing 2 trustees tonight and therefore can't finalize the
Should be
discussion we
volunteered
intended
now
to
for
have.
every-
We should, you suggest we should take this
Well,
opportunity
they're
to...
volunteered by their own.
You snooze, you lose. So we'll lift that, and the former number 75 becomes number 74.
Okay.
Who is that? I lost track. Is that you, David? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the minutes of the meeting held on March 26th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. That is the end of our resolutions for the evening. We have a further budget work session with the folks from PCTV, and later on an executive session. So is there a motion to go into executive session on matters of litigation and personnel?
So moved.
Second?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will hold that until we've already dealt with the folks at PCTV and then be headed into executive session. So, much appreciate your attention tonight. As reported, we have a work session a week from now and our next regular session 2 weeks from now. Thank you and good night.